Did you know that farmers 4,000 years ago grew bigger crops without a single chemical fertilizer? That's right. They never used NPK or urea or any of the synthetic fertilizers that we use today to grow our food. So how did they do it? Well, let me tell you. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to look into how ancient farmers used to make their soil super fertile. And if you stick around till the end, I'll also share with you why scientists are now worried about the future of farming. Modern agriculture is running on borrowed time. While ancient farmers grew bumper crops for 4,000 years without a single chemical, their secret, they didn't feed plants, they fed the soil itself. Imagine this. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, archaeologists discovered patches of dirt that tested among the most fertile soils on Earth. How can this be? This rainforest has been growing for 5,500 years. Yet the dirt made from decomposed rocks beneath still yields bananas, tomatoes, and cassava today. What's more, the jungle's edge farms are 2 to 4 times more fertile than today's chemical fields nearby. And it's all because the indigenous people who lived here 8,000 years ago understood something we've forgotten. Dirt isn't dead matter. It's a living universe teeming with life. And when you speak the language of worms, bacteria, fungi, and beetles, it speaks back in the language of fertility. But you need to understand what exactly is happening down there. See, the trick wasn't in the plants they grew, which mostly consisted of starchy root vegetables like cassava and tropical greens. Nor was it their tools, seeds, or even the climate, which is hot, wet, and buggy. You can't simply transplant ancient soil to a new place and expect it to work. No, the magic happened below the surface. When the indigenous people of the Amazon farmed, they infused their fields with an astonishing diversity of life. 2,000 species of beetle, 390 species of worm, 700 types of bacteria, and 135 fungi for every 100 square centimeters of soil. And this little jungle beneath the ground cover more than 1,000 times more organic carbon than the world's rainforests. This means that the air, water, and nutrients needed for plants were perpetually recycled within the soil itself. But how did they do this? Let's take a look at a few examples. First, the Incas famously grew floating gardens in the freezing cold. High up in the mountains around Lake Titicaca, the Andes loom up to 14,000 feet above sea level, where the water freezes solid for months each year. But the Inca managed to grow 3 harvests of potatoes, corn, squash, peppers, and beans annually in these harsh conditions. How? By combining permaculture principles with clever engineering, they crafted ingenious rafts of reeds and water hyacinths anchored to the lake bed and laden with rich compost and rock. These floated gardens thrived thanks to the thousands of duck armies they unleashed upon them. The ducks ate the weeds and aquatic pests, their paddling webbed feet aerated the muddy water, and their warm bodies shaded the shallows, stimulating algae growth, which ultimately provided oxygen and nutrition for the whole ecosystem. Duck poop also served as instant fertilizer, which would otherwise be hard to come by at such high altitudes. The Inca realized long ago what modern permaculture is still struggling to replicate: the value of animals in fertilizing and protecting crops. Here's another example. In Mesopotamia, where the Inca kept their duck armies, farmers 4,000 years ago discovered an even more refined technique. They found that by burying fish heads at the roots of their date trees over time, the decaying fish would release the perfect nitrogen-phosphorus balance needed to sustain the dates without any added fertilizers. In fact, archaeological evidence suggests that the Mesopotamian farmers had figured out how to create the ideal nitrogen-phosphorus ratio independently, multiple times, across different species of plants. But what's really amazing is what was happening underground, hidden from view. For the Native Americans, farming wasn't just about the soil. It was about the conversation between the plants themselves. In what's now the southwestern United States, the indigenous peoples planted what's known as the 3 sisters: corn, beans, and squash. This trio formed a botanical triad where each plant solved the other's needs. The tall corn stalks became bean poles for the climbing vines. The beans then fixed atmospheric nitrogen for the corn, and the leafy squash vines suppressed weed growth, conserving moisture and adding to the fertility of the soil. The result was a synergistic synergy. The 3 sisters outproduced neighboring monocrops by 20%. At the same time, they enrich the soil instead of depleting it. This is the legacy of polyculture, a form of ancient agroforestry that continues to inspire modern, sustainable agriculture. But here's the thing, we don't know the full extent of what native farmers knew. Some argue that the fertile soils and bountiful harvests we observe archaeologically are the result of natural environments rather than human influence. However, when we dig deeper, literally, we uncover evidence that points to something more. Take the Maya, for example, who lived in what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. They too farmed the Three Sisters, maize, beans, and squash. And archaeologists have found that their fields remained fertile for 1,200 years. But how did they manage this in regions prone to soil erosion and nutrient loss? The answer lies in a simple, yet brilliant innovation: charcoal. By mixing charcoal with shards of local pottery, the Mayans created an eternal growing matrix. The charcoal improved drainage and aeration in heavy clay soils, while the pottery shards, well, they may have seemed like trash, but they turned out to be a stroke of genius. You see, the rough edges of the shards released beneficial minerals over time, boosting soil fertility. Plus, they provided a substrate for helpful bacteria and fungi to colonize. These tiny organisms then decomposed organic matter, releasing nutrients for plants to feast on. This practice not only helped retain precious topsoil, but also enriched the land for generations of farmers. You see, the real magic happened underground. The living web of fungi connected the entire field, creating a network of communication and resource sharing. When one part of the system died back, the fungi quickly decomposed it, recycling the nutrients for new growth elsewhere. This natural process eliminated the need for synthetic fertilizers and ensured the soil's fertility for centuries. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why your plants might not be growing as well as you'd hoped? Or perhaps you're concerned about the environmental impact of modern agricultural practices. If so, then you're in the right place. Just imagine the possibilities. With this knowledge, you can become a better farmer, helping your crops thrive while preserving the health of our planet. So don't wait. Start learning today. It's truly amazing how much we have to learn from those who came before us. In just a few thousand years, humans went from hunter-gatherers to sophisticated farmers growing abundant crops without the need for synthetic fertilizers. It's a testament to our ingenuity and our connection to the natural world. But here's the thing, we can't keep ignoring the lessons of the past. While we marvel at the achievements of ancient farmers, we must also heed the warnings they might have for us. Did you know that according to some estimates, we may only have 60 harvests left before our farmland turns to dust? It's a stark warning from the UN's topsoil experts. To put that in perspective, that's barely enough time to make 6 decades worth of cereal, milk, meat, eggs, and fruit to feed the world. We're in effect eating our way through the accumulated organic matter built up by billions of tons of microorganisms over millennia. These microbes are the unsung heroes of our food system. But strip away their protective layer of mulch, and they die, leaving behind lifeless, infertile soil. And here's the kicker. Unlike ancient farmers, many of whom farmed the same plots for 2,000 years, we change locations every few years in search of virgin territory. But even that frontier is running out, clearing forests and draining wetlands at an alarming rate. In fact, we're using up twice as much land as we need to feed ourselves. That's a sobering thought. As we look to the past for inspiration, we must also acknowledge the urgency of our situation. We can't afford to wait another 4,000 years to rediscover what our ancestors already knew. Now's the time to learn from their wisdom and apply it to our modern world. The future of our food supply and the health of our planet depend on it.